Right. The third session of today's class is we are going for communication. The topic is uniqueness of mobile radio environment. Uniqueness of mobile radio environment. Here of mobile radio environment, nothing but what is the exact heights of the base station, what is the exact height of the mobile station, and how the signal is propagated, either direct path or ground reflected. If how the relation between the power and radius, we'll discuss in this uniqueness of mobile radio environment. Here in this, we will discuss the description of mobile radio environment. First one we are going for what is the description of mobile radio environment, that is to calculate propagation attenuation, to calculate fading. What is meant by propagation attenuation? Nothing but the loss of a signal. Suppose I am transmitting signal with a 40 dB signal I am taking, but the at receiving 30 dB. What is the difference between transmitting and receiving side is 10 dB is loss. That loss is called as a propagation attenuation. Propagation attenuation. That is under this uniqueness of mobile radio environment. First we will discuss the mobile radio environment. The second one is model of a transmission medium. And third one is mobile fading characteristics. Mobile fading characteristics. Right. First we are calculating propagation attenuation. Propagation attenuation. See this one. Now we are assuming that this is mobile radio transmission model. Here the height of the base station, height of the base station or cell phone tower, it is in between 30 meters to 100 meters. In between 30 meters to 100 meters. And the height of the mobile unit from ground, height of the mobile unit from ground is 3 meters. 3 meters. Here the distance between this base station to mobile unit, that is cell phone tower to your mobile, is 2 kilometers. We are approximately assume that 2 kilometers. Now we are consider two paths. One is direct path, another is ground reflected path. The final reach to mobile unit. Path is from directly from base station to mobile station. Another one is the signal is transmitted, finally reached to the ground and reflected to the mobile station. That is reflected path. One is theta 1 is direct path angle, theta 2 is ground reflected path angle. Right. See this one description. 30 to 100 meters height of base station. 3 meters is mobile unit from the ground. 2 kilometers is the distance between base station to mobile station. And theta 1 is direct wave incident angle. And theta 2 is reflected angle. Theta 1 is incident angle, otherwise it is called the elevation angle. Why it is called elevation? At the top we are receiving signal. Elevated elevation signal. Theta 1 is elevation angle or incident angle. Theta 2 is reflected angle. Suppose the finally we are lost 40 dB. Finally we are lost 40 dB. 40 dB loss. Right. See this one. That's why the carrier power inversely proportional to the coverage radius. Suppose I am nearer to the base station. Signal strength is high, that is the bars in the system shows high. Whenever you are far to the base station, signal strength decreases. That's why it is C is inversely proportional to 1 by R basically, but 1 by R power gamma initially. What is meant by gamma here? It depends upon voice quality. For voice quality, which one is we are taking average circuit merit 4. That's why C is inversely proportional to R power, in proportional to 1 by R power 4. That's why see this one. Otherwise, C is 1 by R power 4, but C is R power minus 4. Denominator to numerator we are going. Then C is inversely proportional to, C is minus 4. Then We remove this proportional, we get constant. Constant is alpha. Now, see this in this slide. This is proportional symbol. This is alpha symbol. Don't confuse. Don't confuse. That is C, which is equal to alpha of R power minus 4. Alpha minus power 4. Here, what is the carrier power? R is the distance between transmitter to receiver. That is base station to mobile station. What is meant alpha is a constant. Suppose now the distance between a base station to mobile station is 5 kilometers. Let's assume the distance between base station to mobile station is 5 kilometers, which is equal to R1 distance. Now mobile is moved to 10 kilometers. That is R2 is 10 kilometers. Then what is the formula of C1 and C2? C2 by C1, which is equal to R2 by R1 power of minus 4. I think you can understand this concept. That is the difference in power reception at two different distances. At two different distances R1 and R2 will result C2 by C1, which is equal to R2 by R1 power of minus 4. Right. Suppose I had to calculate same the difference in carrier power in terms of decibels. That is delta C is the difference. Difference between carrier power in terms of dB is equal to C2 minus C1. C2 minus C1. Otherwise, you have to calculate 10 log C2 by C1. We have to write, right? Calculation of difference 10 log C2 by C1. Otherwise, what is the relation of C2 by C1? C2 by C1, which is equal to R2 by R1 power of twice 40 log R1 by R2 minus 40 log R2 by R1 we are getting, but moving we have to remove that minus symbol. 40 log R1 by R2. That is finally delta C, which is equal to 10 log C2 by C1, which is equal to 40 log R1 by R2. Now we have to assume that the R2 value, which is equal to R1, 2 times of R1. Then automatically delta C how much? Substitute in the place of 1. We are getting minus 12 dB. Suppose R2 which is equal to 10 R1, delta C equal to minus 40 dB. Right? Finally, from this all these expressions in a mobile radio environment, the propagation path loss slope, that is the carrier power C is proportional to R power minus gamma. Proportional to R power minus. We see here received carrier power R here, the distance between base station to mobile station, which is equal to alpha times of capital R power minus gamma. This is the final representation. The relation between received carrier power and the distance between base station to mobile station. Next one is fading. What is meant by fading? What is the general meaning of fading in a communication? A rapid fluctuations of the amplitudes, phases, or multipath delays. The rapid fluctuations of the amplitudes, phases, or multipath delays over a short period of time or short distance travel. Suppose now I am nearer to the base station. I am receiving good signal. The conversation is going on without problems, without any changes. But now I am moving away from the base station. Suppose I am walking with some distance. Automatically, on the particular areas there is no signal. At that time, automatically the signal changes. That is called the fading. Generally, there are two types of fadings. First one is flat fading. The second one is frequency selective fading. Flat fading, frequency selective fading. Here, what is meant flat fading? Flat fading. Flat fading is nothing but the available bandwidth is more. The available bandwidth is more than the transmitted signal. Nothing but the system allocate 100 megahertz bandwidth, but we are using only 50 megahertz transmitted signal. The remaining 50 is waste. At that time, we are getting flat fading. Nothing but if the mobile radio channel has a constant and linear response over a bandwidth. If the mobile radio channel has a constant and linear response over a bandwidth which is greater than the bandwidth of transmitted signal, which is greater than the transmitted signal. That is, available bandwidth is more compared to transmitted signal. Transmitted signal, nothing but it is undergo flat fading. Undergo flat fading. Similarly, frequency selective fading just reverts to the flat fading. The available bandwidth is less. The available bandwidth is less, but the bandwidth of a transmitted signal is more. Nothing but a 500 megahertz bandwidth is available. 1 gigahertz transmitted signal is there. How it can be possible? 1 gigahertz signal, 500 megahertz, and that we are getting frequency selective fading. That is, the mobile radio channel bandwidth smaller than the bandwidth of a transmitted signal. This is about frequency selective fading. Based upon this mobile radio environment and fading, we are going for construct a model of a transmission medium. Model of a transmission medium. Right. First, I have to assume that R of t is a mobile radio signal which can be characterized by M of t and R naught of t. M of t is nothing but local mean or long-term fading, and R naught of t is multipath fading or relay fading. That is, the mobile radio signal in practically, the mobile radio signal, it is in practically it is got faded, either long-term fade or multipath fading like this. That is, R of M of t multiplied with R naught of t. What is meant by M? Long-term fading or log, or it is a local mean. When if it comes M of t due to problems in hill stations and buildings like this. What if R of t is called the multipath fading, or it is called the short-term fading, or it is called the relay fading. And this type of multipath fading comes due to surroundings of the buildings and other structures. The mobile radio signals contains fading. It depends upon the natural constructions and human-made constructions. What even natural constructions? Hill, valleys, valley points. But man-made structures, buildings. See this one. This is, we are taking x-axis time, y-axis signal strength in terms of VP, dB. I think you know how to draw a log graph, semi-log graph for applications of amplifiers. We are taking frequency with respect to output. Similarly, we are taking time is the x-axis, the signal strength is of dB. For some distance, we have to calculate local mean. Likewise, we have to draw signal strength with respect. Once we have to calculate, we have to draw a dotted line, nothing but that is for the time t1, we are getting some dB. For t time 2, some dB. Likewise, we have to take all calculation, take mean, that is averaging. Finally, calculate local mean is M of t. M of t. This is the R of t is the signal representative. Likewise, now we are calculating M of t. Similarly, for shorter fading, we also are taking time is x-axis and signal strength in y-axis in dB. See this one. Due to human-made structures, maximum flat. The average is flat. This is called the R naught of t. For this, finally, we are calculating M of t, this first figure, R naught of t for second figure. Finally, the representation is R of t, which is equal to M of t multiplied by t. This is our model of a transmission medium. That is, in long-term fading occurs. The loss of a signal as a function of distance. The loss of a signal is a function of distance and shadowing by hills. Long-term fading comes under hills. Second one is shorter fading occurs due to constructive and interference. Due to constructive and destructive interference of the multiple signal paths. That is based upon buildings. Long-term fading due to natural construction in geographic area. For short-term fading due to human-made structures. Next, mobile fading characteristics. Here, what is the mobile fading characteristics? The first one is radius of an active scatter region. The radius of active scatter region. What is the radius of active scatter region? Suppose I'm taking one building. At the top of the building, suppose in that particular building, 5 floors is there. In the 5th floor, we are receiving good signal. What about ground floor? Automatically, the signal strength is very weak. Sometimes there is no signal in the ground floors. That is active to inactive due to scattering. Suppose suddenly so we are moving in one area to another area. In some areas, there is no signal. That is in active condition to inactive condition we are going. That is the concept of the radius of active scatter region. Second one is standing wave expressed in linear scale and log scale. Suppose we are taking the difference between general normal graph and semi-log graph. Suppose we have to represent in normal graph sine waveform with respect to time. For semi-log with respect to we are taking frequency. Right? We are taking same signal, but we have to draw two different graphs, two different scales. Or it is different. Generally log scale and linear scale. In fading also, we have to draw in linear scale and log scale. Can be difference. Difference is there. Next, third one is first order and second order statistics of fading. First order and second order statistics of fading. Right. Here, what is meant by first order and what is the second order statistics? Here, what the first order is nothing but we have to calculate what is the average power probability. What is the average power probability? Nothing but now I am taking power at one place. Now move to another place and taking another power level. That is different places you have to calculate power and calculate average. That is called the first order and calculate bit error rate. That is bit error rate. What is how to calculate bit error rate? To calculate bit error rate, nothing but how many number of bits are transmitted and how many number of bits are errored by comparing transmitting and receiving section. Finally the bit error rate which is equal to number of bits are transmitted. That is bit error rate which is equal to number of bits are transmitted divided by number of bits are errored divided by number of bits are transmitted. Similarly, in second order statistics, we have to calculate average duration of fades. Average duration of fades. That is how much time, how much distance continuously we are getting average. Average and fading occurs. That is errors occurs and calculate word error rate. Right. This is about mobile fading characteristics. That is the mobile fading characteristics is the radius of the active scatter region, standing wave expressed in a linear scale and log scale, first order statistic and second order statistics. Next one is directive wave path, line of sight path and obstructive path. What is the direct path? Direct path nothing but from base station to mobile station, a direct path is there. And this is good line of sight path. That is there is a clearance. There is no obstacle present. There is no blocking with base station. But obstructive path is nothing but signal is blocks between base station to mobile station. Next one, noise level in cellular frequency band. Noise level in cellular frequency band. There are two types of man-made noises. Man-made noise, that is, first one is ignition noise. What is the term ignition? Where exactly the term comes in ignition? It is a vehicles. The vehicle noise is called the ignition noise. Next, 800 megahertz emission noise. That is co-channel interference. That ignition noise and interference. Co-channel interference. We'll discuss later classes what is meant by co-channel interference, how to reduce this co-channel interference later classes. These are the mobile fading characteristics. All right. Now we are going for operation of a cellular system. Operation of a cellular systems. Operation of a cellular system. That is how we can use your mobile phone generally. This can be done by 4 parts. Operation of a cellular system can be divided into 4 parts. The first one is mobile unit initialization. Mobile unit initialization. Right. Nothing but for this mobile unit initialization, going to basically there are 2 types of channels, voice channels and setup channels. We'll discuss, I think, in 4th unit like this, 4th unit or 2nd unit ending also. Setup channels are and voice. The setup channel is used to connect between 2 mobiles. Connection purpose. After connection takes place, by using voice channels, the voice can be transmits. The voice can be. This is about the basic introduction to setup channels and voice channels. Setup channels for setting up of a connection. After connection takes place, setup channels are released, voice channel end and transmit voice through voice channels. The first part of operation of cellular system is mobile unit initialization. Mobile unit initialization. Nothing. First of all, you have take your mobile unit, right? Switch on the power. After switch on the power in your mobile, then automatically the SIM card is activated. Then automatically scans the signal from the nearest base station. Scans the signal from the nearest base station. It takes some time. This is called a self-location scheme. Self-location scheme. What is a self-location scheme? Once the switch on your mobile unit, right? The mobile unit scans for signal. This is a self-location scheme. Once the signal is received from the base station or mobile station, automatically it displays in a vertical bars in top of your mobile unit. Once it is completed, the setup is called the registration. Once the mobile unit is initialized, then we have to go for mobile unit originated call. Nothing but once the signal is received, we are going for dial the number. The number signals goes to mobile unit to base station to MSC or MTSO. MSC or MTSO. MSC or MTSO now search where exactly the receiver is present and which cell it is present. Tracing, that is called paging. The term is called paging. Checking where exactly the dial number receiver is present. Once it is found, automatically the connection takes place on voice channel for conversation. Allocate one voice channel for conversation. This is about mobile unit originated call. Next one is landline originated call. What is meant by landline originated? That is mobile to land connection, landline call or landline to mobile call. How it can be possible? From mobile station to base station to MSC or MTSO, MSC or MTSO, PSTN network. Otherwise, reverse connection. Here, this PSTN network is voice gate trunk line. Voice gate trunk lines. All you seen this figure in previous sessions. Basic building blocks of a cellular mobile system. Right. Next, the 4th step is call termination. Call termination, nothing but once we are the call, automatically it terminates the signal from both sides, from cell side or mobile side. The signal can be turned off. That is called terminated. Right. That is the operation of a cellular system. It is having 4 steps. Mobile unit initialization, mobile unit originated call, landline originated call termination. This is about operation mobile system. Next, we are going for hexagonal shaped cell. Hexagonal shaped cell. Right. For engineering drawing purpose, for simplifying the planning and designing cellular system with hexagonal shaped cells. Why only hexagonal shaped cells? Why only hexagonal shaped cells? Now, why not a circular shape? Why not rectangular? Why not square? I would one system here. Let's see this one. Right. See this one. Now I am drawing one per thing. See this one. Right. This is area. One geographic area. Now we are converting say mobile communication to cellular communication. Mobile communication, a single tower is enough for this cover all this one. But go for cellular communication, we have to divide into number of small parts. Each part is called a cell. Each part is a cell. Right. Now I am dividing cells by the circle shape. See this one. Likewise, I am dividing. Likewise, see this one. Now each and everything, everyone, each and every cell site. One base station. Right. Right. Each basin covers only circular shape only. Each basin covers circular shape only. What about this part? See this one. What about this part? This is the part which it is not covered by anything. That is the drawback when the circular shape is used to dividing the cells. Right. That's why now I am going to divide this one by using square or circular shape. I am taking page layout is see this one. Likewise, boxes I am designing. Right now we are fixing the antennas. Right. But maximum each and every antenna which covers only particular directions only. Particular directions, nothing but some corners it not covered. The signal is come some corners of this rectangle shape or square shape, whatever it may be. Some corners are the signal is not covered. That's why for engineering drawing purpose only, we are using hexagonal shaped cells. Hexagonal shaped cells. Likewise, I'm dividing total cell, no problem. Now I am dividing this cell, hexagonal shaped cell. Suppose have how many sides are 6 sides? Nothing but 6 directional antennas we are using. Suppose we are fixing one base station for each and every cell. Right at the top of the cell phone tower, we are fixing number of directional antennas or omnidirectional antennas. What is the difference between directional antenna and omnidirectional antenna? Directional antenna is nothing but which radiates power in a particular direction. Which radiates power in a particular direction. What is the meaning of omnidirectional antenna system? Nothing but which radiates power to all directions. All directions commonly. That is, we are getting finally radiation is circular shape by using omnidirectional antenna for only particular directions. Like see this one, I am explaining what is the difference between directional antenna and omnidirectional antenna. Suppose right here in this directional antenna, suppose that assuming that this is a directional antenna. This is about omnidirectional antenna. Omnidirectional antenna system. Here in the directional antenna system, nothing but which radiates power in a particular direction. Suppose at the top of the building, I am fixing, see this one, now I am fixing the antenna. Now I am fixing the antenna in this direction. Nothing but fixing this one, nothing but which sends a power in this direction only. This is a directional antenna system. For omnidirectional antenna system, we are fixing the antenna which covers equally in all directions. That is the difference between omnidirectional antenna system and directional antenna system. Omnidirectional system and directional antenna system. Here, but that's why here, suppose we are using 6 directional antenna, nothing but 6 sides it covers. Suppose we are fixing the omnidirectional antenna which covers the total entire cell. That's why for engineering drawing purpose only, using hexagonal shaped cell to dividing cells. That is the system. But ideally, this is for ideally the fixing of atom, it's circular shape like this. And but real it is like fixing of the base stations. Suppose for every mandal headquarter we are using one cell phone tower is there. Then suppose we are taking example of BSNL. For every mandal headquarter we are fixing one BSNL tower. Nothing but what is the shape of your mandal? Different shape. It is not exactly one. Different shapes are there. For engineering drawing purpose, we are using hexagonal shaped cells. Right. This is about the third session of today's classes. Uniqueness of mobile environment and operation of cellular mobile system and hexagonal shaped cells. Thank you very much for attending this session. Do you have any query? Type your query in a chat box.